Now we have Colin Clarke, the Executive Director of the Soufan Centre. Colin, what do you make? I mean, what is the goal on this Venezuela? What's the purpose? What's the end game here?
Well, thanks for having me. I think that's a matter of debate right now. If you listen to the administration, the goal is to stop fentanyl from flowing into the country. They've relabeled narco terrorists and gangs or narco traffickers and gangs as foreign terrorist organizations. Counterterrorism experts like myself have had a lot to say about why that doesn't make sense. The more skeptical of us think it could be about oil. The president's referenced it multiple times. You'd have members of the House of Representatives talking about U.S. oil companies going back to Venezuela. And I think at this stage, the mass of U.S. muscle on the coast of Venezuela is probably a game of chicken to try to get Maduro to accept exile and flee abroad.
Okay, let's assume he does. For the purposes of this question, what does the US do then? I mean, time and again, the administration, Donald Trump particularly, has said, look, we believe these are stolen assets. They are corrupt. We need to get them back. They were taken from the US, which is simply not necessarily the case. So what's the game?
Well, I think, this evokes a lot of kind of lead up to Iraq war vibes, if you will. There's, been folks in the administration saying this is going to be easy. Maduro's going to flee. The United States will be accepted and able to kind of set up shop in Venezuela. But I've written a paper along with my colleague Ben Conable where we've warned against the risks, a potential insurgency in Venezuela, regime hardliners, all of the individuals that have been given weapons to stay and fight. So, sleepwalking into another conflict for a president that ran on extricating the United States from endless wars doesn't seem to make a whole lot of sense. There hasn't really been a lot of transparency, and there's nothing along the lines of a coherent strategy from what I've seen.
While I've got you, sir, let's, as they say, squeeze the asset a little bit. You are the author of After the Caliphate, the Islamic State and the Future of the Terrorist Diaspora. Can I just turn our attention to events in Australia and in Sydney? We now know that this was well planned. It was meticulous. They had several runs to practice it. There is the ISIS flag. There is the training. But, ISIS is an amorphous phrase that's often used and people they grab hold of it any way they can. So can you just give us some perspective on that?
Sure. Look, even though the so-called caliphate, the physical caliphate, has been destroyed in the Levant, this is still an ideology and a group which continues to inspire homegrown violent extremists around the world. That's what we saw in Sydney, very likely an inspired attack. I think the attacks of October 7th, 2023, the Hamas terrorist attacks, and the subsequent Israeli war in Gaza has raised the temperature in many ways, has brought more attention to the Middle East. And for some people that spend a lot of time online, it's been a conveyor belt to further radicalization.
Okay. Right, but let me just clarify. To a large extent, not quite lone wolf. They are radicalized and then they are maybe in touch with. But these don't seem to be, at least I'm talking about Sydney, massively organized through a structure. Is there any evidence that ISIS is putting itself back together globally to do large-scale attacks?
Well, they certainly would like to. And if you think back to 2024 with ISIS-K, attacks in Iran, Turkey, and Russia to start the year, failed plots against the Paris Olympics and the Taylor Swift concert in Vienna. The group is certainly attempting to reconstitute. It remains largely decentralized, though it does still have connective sinew, and it communicates through the General Directorate of Provinces with nodes stretching from the Middle East to the Horn of Africa all the way to Southeast Asia. It's not quite there yet, and it may not get there, but that's certainly the goal of the group.
We should talk on happier times. I'm grateful to you, sir. Thank you, Colin. Thank you.
Thank you.